What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's about time I did a little update on my Mark V Astra diesel to B204 build. We've made a little bit of progress. In the last video you saw of this car, the engine was sitting in there, so I'll just go over a few of the things now, what I've done, why I've done it. Alright, this is basically where she's at, guys. So I know a lot of you people are going to laugh at this, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm a window cleaner, I'm not a welder. I don't claim to be a welder. This is a budget build. I'm not paying to someone to do it. A lot of people have been like, well, why don't you pay someone to do it? Because I don't want to pay anyone to do it, because any money I spend on that, I could have spent on another part of the build. Not to mention, this is a bit of a trial on this, so this could all get ripped off. I mean, I'm not being funny. I could take this out for a few days, and this could all just end up gone, and that'd have been a waste of money. So I've literally just messed about. To be honest, guys, I can actually weld a hell of a lot better than this. The reason this is the way it is because I'm at my garage at home, limited access to stuff. I don't have decent tools like Gary does at the unit there. So what I did was I bought eBay gasless MIG welder. I think it was 68 quid delivered. So, and to be honest, guys, the thing the thing welds like a piece of whoop, beep, crap, whatever you want to say. So yeah, so there's another bit of welding I did with it. I don't know if you can really make it out. That is a mini torque rod, because what we've done is we've cut the stock Mark V Astra mount right off there, because it would have been in the way of any kind of downpipe anyway. So yeah, we've used a classic mini torque bar, which is bolted to the gearbox into there, and it's got an adjuster on it, and it's also polybush, so that I don't think is going to be going anywhere. We're running on this build, it's going to be a Chinese GT2871. I'm using all the stock T25 oil and water lines. I've manipulated them, bended them, whatever you got to do to get them fit. The turbo needed clocking on the compressor housing and the core. Another thing we had to do, well, I had to do, I don't think Gary put his name to this build. But I'm here to experiment, so you guys don't have to experiment, and you can just learn from what I do. And what I do and what I don't do, you might want to do something totally different. So basically, when you run one of these turbos, normally you have to run a spacer flange there, which gives more clearance for the compressor housing to the block. They tend to hit the part where the balance shaft is. So rather than doing that, because this is just a complete ghetto build, and I just want to see what I can get away with doing on this. I mean, I have done some nice builds in the past. I did a nice Vauxhall Vectra with a top mount Holset HX35, not the one that's on the channel, but I did sort of the prototype of that, and it was a nice build. But this, honestly, guys, I'm literally just chucking this in. This is getting launched in, and I just want it to work. And I'm going to take it out and see what happens, and see what sort of performance I can get out of it. Based on making it with making this exhaust downpipe with a crappy welder. And basically I slit this manifold here, bent that flange upwards slightly so it gave clearance on this, and I've just welded it around there. Now, from what I gather, these manifolds are cast steel, not cast iron, cast steel. I think they are. Someone, if you want to correct me in the comments, you feel free to correct me on that. So I could weld it anyway. It's welded. I've welded these before. I've got one on my Astra van as well, where we did a turbo change on that, and that's a 1.9 CDTI, and we fitted a GT1756 VK turbo off a 2.8 Audi diesel, and you can't get a manifold for that, so I literally just cut the neck and welded the turbo on it, and it's been on there for about 6 months with no issues whatsoever. So no, it won't look pretty, and it doesn't look pretty, but it does do the job. And once this is covered in heat wrap, no one's going to see it. Right, so what I've done is we've got this little boy down here. Now this is a diverter valve. So basically, when the turbo setup, or the engine sees, I think it's 5 to 7 psi of boost, maybe less, this little baby will start opening and allow this side exit exhaust to release some gas out of the front bumper. So basically, I've got the bone stock exhaust system down there. This is a stock 1.7 diesel exhaust system with the catalytic converter on it, centre boxes, everything. So this car is going to be super quiet. I mean, it's going to be really quiet. It should be a sleeper. So yeah, basically anyway, as soon as the car comes on boost, that flapper valve down there will open and allow a bunch of the exhaust gases from there to go straight out. So I really don't think flow is going to be an issue. Now, I know I might get a bit of turbulence and that from where I've located that valve. Ideally, I should have put that valve up there. A few people have pointed out. To be honest, I actually knew that I should have put it there. But for ease of access and changeability, I thought if I whip the front bumper off, it takes seconds to whip the front bumper off. I can get to it down there. And let's be honest, guys, when you look at a build like this, I'm not trying to chase all the horsepower. If I was trying to chase all the horsepower, that manifold would be gone for a nice tubular manifold. This would have been a nice, real smooth flowing 3-inch downpipe, all tigged up professionally, so that the flow's nice and there's no restrictions in there whatsoever. I'd have had a nice 3-inch exhaust system made with some decent big boxes. So at the end of the day, I know how to build a car if I want to do it that way. So don't be under any illusion. This is just a total chuck together setup to get it going. So we fitted, you can't see anything there, it's pointless. I fitted a Mark IV Astra throttle pedal, the manual type throttle pedal. So that's in there. It already had the F23 gear cables and selector unit in it. We've fitted one of my VXR seats. Again, the lighting's absolutely rubbish. I've got to get my other VXR seat in it. I couldn't find a grommet for the throttle cable. So Gary pointed out that basically these little rubber things that naturally sit in there normally, you can actually just whip one of them out and you can use it as your grommet for your throttle cable. So that's done. So cheers to Gary for telling me about that. So you can see I've started mocking up mounting the intercooler, and you're probably wondering, why is his intercooler all the way over there? Yeah, basically, because of where I've got that side exit exhaust, by the time I put the screen washer bottle back in somewhere there, which is where it goes, and it sits like that, basically I couldn't get a boost pipe, which would normally go around there, around the bottle. So the only way I've managed to do it is to get it right in there, which involved pushing the intercooler further over, but I'm going to be spraying all of that intercooler black. And the pipe width's going to be black and everything, and it's got a XP front bumper, SRI bumper, which is all black, slapped in anyway, so you're not going to see any of that. Like I say, I want this car to be a bit of a sleeper anyway, until obviously that thing's sticking out ever so slightly, but we'll try and camouflage that best as possible. So I was tackling the wiring on this anyway. Some of the wiring, you've got your starter loom, which starts from there. Gary's already done an in-depth video on his VXR build, if you want to check that video on what to do with all this wiring. But I've basically trimmed out everything you don't need. Like I say, you'll see that in Gary's video. And also you've got your ECU plug off the camber setup, which is down there. What are we keeping off that again? Yeah, the water temperature one. So I've got to put the water temperature sensor out of the 1.7 diesel head into this head. We've got the crank trigger wheel, which is down there. So that's where my crank sensor is going to mount, right on that. So this is how you get past the camber system on a Mark V Astra. Again, something Gary's already gone through anyway. I'll show you my trigger wheel. I don't know if you can just see up there, guys, but that's the trigger wheel I got. Back at you. Right. Basically, with that trigger wheel that I've just showed you, we got a stock bottom pulley, separated it, took the back off. There's a bunch of sort of Allen heads on the back of it. Separated it, took the front face off. We back turned it on a lathe and allowed us to put one of those trigger wheels in. So you could buy those trigger wheels off eBay, but they're just literally a flat piece of steel. Round flat piece of steel with obviously the teeth all the way around. So what you've got to do is you've got to take them to a machine shop, and you want to get it sandwiched in, but obviously you don't want to alter your clearances from the pulley to the block. There's different ways of doing it. You can grind the teeth on them on the stock weight. Also, to be honest, if you don't want any hassle, just give Trevor Bibby a shout on. He's on a lot of the Saab forums. Trevor Bibby does. He actually sells them with trigger wheels on, so it's going to be a lot easier if you just go for one of them. Right. So the jobs I got left to do on this anyway. As you can see, I've got to mount the radiator. We're going to get that mounted on some brackets. I've got to do the water pipes for that. I've got one of these. It's got that Boss kits, because as you know, Mark V Astras, they don't come with a water temperature gauge, and I really don't like that. So we've got one of those, which is going to go in the bottom hose with a sensor. I'm waiting for the temperature gauge to come, and that will work for that. We've got one of these little things, which lots of you will be familiar with. So we're going to fit a boost gauge in that, and the water temperature gauge, and that's going to replace the driver's air vent. So there's that to go on. What else have we got to do? I've built an air intake system. I'll grab that in a sec. Part of it's down there. We've got a K&N air filter there, which is thanks to Ben Lang for supplying me with that. I've got some aluminium 3-inch pipes. So we've done an air intake system, which is going to come up from there. We've had to squash that one and make it like oval. It'll still flow well, so basically there's just no room down there. And obviously we're going to run the breather pipe that comes round, recirculate it straight back into the air intake. Because if you don't put it in the air intake, basically you see people, they send them down the back of the engine bay, and when you're in traffic, you're just going to get all the fumes that come out of that, out of the breather, are just going to come up and in your vents, and they stink your car out. So the fuel lines, I managed to use the stock, you can't really see, diesel fuel lines. I had to manipulate them and bend them a bit and pull them this way, and then I had to buy some reducing, what do we call them, barbed joiners. So I think they were 10mm to 8mm. So I had to use a sliver of 10mm pipe to join them to the diesel pipes, and then obviously you've got your reducer, barb reducer down to 8mm, and then you go from there to the fuel rail. Now basically the diesel pipes are bigger. I haven't actually tested that on this car. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I built a Fiat Punto once, and that had a Saab engine in, and that used to be a diesel, and that had diesel lines. The same again, the fatter lines, and I never had a problem with it. I just pulled the swirl pot out of the diesel tank, cleaned all the diesel out, obviously sucked it all out, cleaned the tank, put fresh petrol in it, put a uprated fuel pump in, which we've got down here, which is, to be honest, a lot of people don't rate these, but I do. Sorry, camera action, swaying around over there. I've actually got a video on this. Spare me a sec, guys. A bit rusty at this YouTube stuff at the moment. Right, there we go. So we've got a Kemzo 340 litre per hour fuel pump. Comes with everything you need to fit it, although I wouldn't use the clips that they supply. I'd get some proper T-bolt style fuel clips because they have an even biting force. But yeah, I've got a whole video, if you want to check out the other videos, there's a whole video on fitting one of these in a Saab. And to be honest, the principle's the same on any car pretty much, any one of these sorts of cars anyway. So right, I'm going to wrap this video up now, guys. Anyway, sorry for me waffling and my poor camera work, but it's been a while since I did a video on my own. Yeah, if there's anything more you want to know about this, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button to stay notified. Yeah, anything you want to know, comment down below. Cheers, guys, and the next video will be putting drive shafts in, gearbox oil. By then the radiator will be on, and we'll hopefully get a loom adapter off Gary and get the ECU mapped for this turbo, and then we'll be getting it fired up. So we'll video the first start, and we'll do a walk around of the whole car when it's out on the driveway, and obviously we'll probably take you out in it when we can, and get some videos of it running as well. Cheers, guys, take care now.